I don't want it. I never have.
Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I've just tried out the offset. This isn't something to get outraged over. It is something stupid. But you know what? What would comics be if we didn't have some of that? So let's get right into it. Dateline. I like saying that. It makes it sound like there's something more important going on. December 20th, 2024, by Graham McMillan, editor, Popverse. Harley Quinn is making April Fool's Day 2025 one to remember with a not so sweet smelling DC comic book special. And the subtitle here is after releasing the best selling comic of 2024, DC is putting out what's going to be the smelliest comic of 2025. Um, if you're thinking this is a book about Harley Quinn farting, then you are correct. You have guessed the story, and chances are you've already heard plenty of it from other channels and other places because this is one of those things that picks up news. But before we go there, real quick, the best selling comic of 2024, they're talking about Absolute Batman number one, 2024. Absolute Batman number one was the top selling comic, which is fine. DC put out this news announcement. They're still not exactly putting out firm numbers. They're still making people guess at it. And so they're saying, this series is the best selling. And when you get sites that actually go into it, they're citing numbers from Comics Hub, and Comics Hub still does not take into account a lot of books sold outside of, well, first of all, even in comic shops, it's still a tiny, tiny microcosm of what happened. This isn't to say that Batman didn't sell well. Of course, it did. But what strikes me a little bit odd is that when comic books wants to talk about the size of the market and how everything is going well, they do things like include scholastic books and manga. And when they want to talk about a comic book selling well, then they exclude those things and then just talk about the number one book. But then we don't get numbers for it. For what it's worth, Jujutsu Kaisen sold 7.6 million versions of that book in 2024. The lowest of the top 10 was Spy X Family with 2.7 million copies. You had My Hero Academia, Kaiju number 8, One Piece, The Apothecary Diaries, that stuff in there. One Piece, which is a beast, did 5.28 million in sales. So again, it's not apples to apples, which has always been my point. It's not apples to apples, but then you can include manga in comic sales when you're going to be making these claims, or you're going to have to say, yeah, put it this way. Absolute Batman did not outsell any of the top 10 in manga. But then again, it's selling into the direct market. So why would it? Right. So anyway, oh, well, the thing that cracks me up, Joe, is just why, it's according to DC, Absolute Batman number one is the best selling comic. Marvel didn't participate in that at all. The numbers you get again are coming from Comic Hub, that does this ranking. Even ICB2 lists it there, and I'm sure it did well, but there's no actual numbers. We're talking about Comic Hub come from 125 stores that uses this system out of 3,000 stores, which do not include anything outside of the direct market. I'm just saying, right? You realize it's it's kind of a, I don't know. Anyway, back to the farting. Back to the article. It says the DC's official description of the comic. Oh wait, I got ahead of myself. In the solicitations for March 2025, which you'll get to soon, is something called Harley Quinn Fartacular, Silent But Deadly, and the "but" is spelled as you'd expect. And then it's listed as number one. This is a one shot, but I do like how they have the number one in order to tease you that there may be follow ups to this. Anyway, the solicitation reads, I've been holding in all my very worst bits of bubble guts for the last 32 years. So it's all been leading up to this epic expulsion. Your nose will never be the same. You'll gag, you'll cry, you'll feel things you ain't never felt before. This fine publication is a celebration of all things past, present, and tutor. Sequential art's place in the annals of history, and I didn't pronounce that word wrong, is about to change with the release of the Harley Quinn Fartacular Silent But Deadly, a comic that promises to have the highest concentration of gas per page, or GPP, ever committed to print. Emphasis on committed because everyone who worked on this comic is getting thrown into Dr. Fartley's home for no good gassy gals. I, there's a lot going on there. Anyway, Harley Quinn has done Scratch and Sniff before. There was the Rub and Smell comic that had pizza and leather and suntan lotion and weed. And this is the Rub and Smell, which is intellectual property. If you're wondering why they don't call it Scratch and Sniff, they're calling it Rub and Smell, which I don't know. I mean, I I feel like it could make a joke there. Anyway, Harley Quinn is doing this fart issue where we're getting a lot of farts. This is a book of farts, and then there's smells. Presumably, she goes through the DC universe farting on things, and that is what you've got. This book, it is a one-shot issue. It is Joanne Starr, who did the Fire and Ice Welcome to Smallville piece of shit. I mean, sorry, series. And then the Todd Brandt and Rose Stein. And then somehow they got Amanda Connor and Ben Caldwell to come in and do variant covers for this. Anyway, this is coming out March 26th with the intention. This is an April Fool's joke. And you too can get in on this fun by buying this at your local comic shop for April Fools and then giving it to somebody because that's what April Fools is all about. It's spending like $6 on a comic book and then giving it to someone so they could smell Harley Quinn's farts or queefs or whatever they put into here. Anyway, this is a comic. So you might be asking yourself, why are they doing this? And the answer is this has been kicked around for a while. There was a rumor that this was coming back about 4 years ago, I think. The rub and smell technology and everything they're going to do, they're going to use that more. Again, not entirely sure why. The first issue didn't sell particularly well, even from speculators, but be that as it may. But the actual issue, and I swear to God, this is the honest truth, talking to a couple people at DC who currently work at DC, not as creators, but work in the DC office. They were noticing that at Target and Walmart, and this is also true, you can see for yourself, in the kids section or the YA section, there's quite a lot of fart and poop books there. There's books about just I made a poop, and it's originally those books were made for children who are going through potty training, and they were trying to get kids not to crap their pants. But somehow those books became funny, and they migrated a little bit further up into the YA section. And so that somebody saw this, it sells well. Those books actually do quite well at Target. And so they thought, well, we can make a comic book out of this, and who better than to make fart the whole time than Harley Quinn? And that's the comic we've got. So it's an April Fool's one shot written by an absolutely terrible writer. It cracks me up. This article lists the writer this way. It comes from a creative team that is anything but stinky. Popverse favorite, Joanne Starr. How? Popverse? I don't know Popverse very well, but what in the holy shit is wrong with you? This is a terrible, terrible idea. I'll give Popverse this, though. It is actually putting out comic news more than, say, Newsarama and CBR, which I find just kind of crazy. But anyway, okay, that's what we have going on. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Popverse gives us a little bit more information, by the way, on the thing I started out with. It says, basically, this is from Chris Arant, who was previously at Newsarama and now bringing his talent over here. Anyway, it says, how many copies of Absolute Batman did DC really sell? It says it has sold just under 400,000 copies is what people are saying, which includes all the extra printings and the black and white version, etc. So it's all in. And then there's a speculation that the first printing of Absolute Batman #1, kind of first go, was 200,000 copies. So that's kind of what people are saying. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did 300,000 copies supposedly for the first printing. But that was sold to whatnot. So anyway, this is all going around. G.I. Joe #1 claims to have sold 225,000 copies, but again, variant covers and everything else. This last paragraph, by the way, and this is not to crap on Snyder. It's a good accomplishment and it's a good book. But it says how Absolute Batman #1 got to that near 400K number is due to positive word of mouth following the book's initial debut. Not really. It got this number because it had a crap ton of variant covers, and the big people like Midtown and others bought in huge versions in order to get those numbers. So it was sold out largely, and the die was set before word of mouth. Anyway, the second printing they're saying sold roughly 20 to 35,000 copies. That's again, it's a good number and it's an accomplishment. But the data is just a little strange here. Anyway, but there you have it. I love how in this article people say things like, "But did it outsell Ultimate Spider-Man?" The article says this from a news reporter. I would estimate Ultimate Spider-Man has sold more than 300,000 copies, but I don't have accurate data. It's like, okay, so wait a minute, what are we talking about then? Anyway, there you go. So Fart Comics, Ian. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.